Hey folks, Jeff here at Back to Country. Appreciate you stopping by the channel today. Well, if you've been following along, you know I screwed up. Probably more than once. But anyway, when we was working on the electric, I was cleaning up some ditch work using the blade on the excavator. I got focused on the blade, and well, I wasn't paying attention to my boom, and I crashed into the building and made a big hole in the wall. So under normal circumstances, the solution to that would be to take down the panel and replace the panel. Well, we can't do that. Why can't we do that? Well, first of all, because of these electric panels. So in order to replace that panel, we've got a seam here, and the other side of the seam is here, which means it falls under this electric panel and on the other side of this electric panel. So at a minimum, I'd have to take down these two panels, which if that was the only problem, that probably wouldn't be too bad, because the only wires going to this panel are the wires that connect it to this panel, and the only wires going to this panel are the wires connecting it to this panel, which is a disconnect. So I could turn off this service disconnect, which it's off right now anyway. That cuts power beyond there, and so in theory it would be easy to take these two down. I mean, I say easy, relatively easy is probably a better choice of words, and that would give us access to this panel. Or would it? No, it wouldn't, because behind these we've got the brackets, and the brackets go all the way through. So then I would have to take off the brackets, and the bad thing about the brackets on this panel is right behind it, the same brackets, the inside panel is attached to that, and the inside panel actually has wiring to it now. So I would have to drop the panel on the inside, disconnect all the wires, cut off power to everything, and that becomes a lot bigger project. So I just don't think that's a good solution. The other problem, once we got beyond that, we've got another problem, and the other problem is that the building's spray foamed. So behind each of these panels is 2 inches of closed cell spray foam at a minimum. Some areas it's thicker than that. So that spray foam doesn't just peel off. We would literally have to break off the entire section of spray foam and then reshoot it. Not a good solution. So we had to come up with a better solution, and I think we got it. So, well, you'll just have to stick with us and see how we do it. Alright folks, so here's where we're at. So far, we've gone up and I've removed all the screws on the outside from the trim, from the first tie down on the end of the roof, and from the offending panel. And here's where we ran into the problem. So my hope was, best case scenario, I was going to be able to pull all those screws, and then that would give me the ability to pull out that trim. Unfortunately, the trim was screwed on before the roof, so it's actually attached to the building underneath the roofing. And even though I unscrewed the screws off of all the end of the roofing panels, they are locked in tight by the spray foam, so they do not budge at all. So the spray foam locks them in, and the panel is locked tight by spray foam as well, so that's not an option. So now that basically means that I'm gonna have to be able to work around the trim with it basically in place and just giving me whatever flexibility it gives me. So here's our next effort. I've got a 90-degree fitting that'll fit on my little impact, and hopefully I can put the little socket in there, and that gives me the ability to fit up underneath the trim and then at least remove the bolts from that panel. That's gonna be, in this case, where we're at, best case scenario. Worst case scenario, I'm gonna have to remove those with a little ratcheting open end box wrench, and if I gotta do that, well, that might take a bit. So 2 options. Let's see how it works out. So looking at the hole, we've got some wrinkles, and so the plan is we're going to put a sheet of paneling. This is a PBR panel, and we're going to put the new panel right over the top of the old panel and then screw it all down. So in order to make it fit properly, I've got to get those wrinkles out of there so that anything that's sticking out is not. So I'm going to try to just work it with a hammer a little bit, see if I can get all those wrinkles out enough to where it's not a problem. If not, I'll take a little cutoff tool and just remove it. So plan A, just knock the dents out enough to where it's not a problem. Plan B, cut it out with a cutoff tool. Looking at it right now, I would say there's a high probability that we're going to end up on plan B, but let's see how it goes. Not really flexible. I would have to be able to get something behind it and to work it good. So I think plan B it is. That spray foam sticks super good. Alright, so we just cut the lip. So you got two sides. The side that normally gets overlapped is a full ridge and then a little bit more. And the other side is the side that does the lap, and it's not quite a full ridge. So this is the side that's going to go underneath. So we couldn't get a full deal underneath because the spray foam is so sealed to the back side. So what I did is I just trimmed all that off. So there's basically a lip that's going to go over to create a good seal, but not so much that the spray foam will be a problem. So it should fit in theory, because I took a test piece that had basically the lap and I put it under there. So as long as we're not bigger than that, it should be okay. And I think I trimmed it good enough to where we're okay. So that's that. Next thing I got to do is cut the top off, because this is a 12-foot sheet and it's only about 9 foot 10 inches is what we need. Tried to buy a 10-foot sheet, but they didn't have any, so 12 was the closest we could get. So gonna have to measure this out and and then cut it at the top so that it's the right size, and then we'll try to get it on. Okay, we're up under the tent.
Okay.
Now I've got to get it under the lap.
Wanna go up? Well. Okay. Is it okay if it's on top of the box?
Huh?
Is it okay if it's on top of the box?
Yeah. Okay, so here's what we got to do, honey. We're trying to get it under this now.
Yeah.
So I got it started up here, but and now it's stuck. And it might be because it's on the boxes. It's maybe got to go behind the boxes. So. Just finishing this up by putting a little silicone right along the bottom, just so that water won't have any way of backing up, you know. I don't think it would, but better to be safe. Put a little extra protection. Alright folks, we got it finished. I think it looks pretty good. Looking at it just broadside of the building, you cannot tell at all. It looks like it always did, so it is not noticeable. If you know what you're looking for, there's a line right here and some extra screws that is mostly hidden behind all the panels. And there's some caulking there. I put silicone caulking, so basically I'm pretty happy with it. It's not an area that we look at. It's not an area that we will be focusing on or anything. It's hidden behind the panels, like I say. So overall, I think that's a pretty good repair. Now, if I didn't have these panels here, I would have done a full sheet. I still would have done it the same way, covered it up, because with the spray foam on the inside, you can't peel that panel off. Trying to take a panel off of spray foam, the only way is you got to cut out the spray foam. It adheres too good. And why would you do that? So, you know, if the panel's like seriously rusting out or something, then maybe you got a little issue. You need to get that rust out of there. So I would say, you know, sand it with a flat disc or something heavy that's really going to grind away and get all the rust off of it. Then spray paint it and then put a panel over the top of it, so that you're not sealing rust inside of between two panels, because that's just going to cause more rust. But other than that, if the wall is good, you can put a new panel on it. And I would think that you could do the same thing on the roof if you get hail damage or something like that. Pull the screws out, put a new panel down, and put everything back together, and good as new. So anyway, that's how we did the repair. Let us know if you got another way that you've done it, or you recommend, just so for the future we'll have other ideas. Appreciate you watching. If you stuck with us this long, good for you. Thanks for your support. Thanks for watching our channel. As always, take care, God bless, and we'll see you on the next one.